Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you a quick vlog about me studying Japanese. I hope you enjoy it. I often think about what it is that makes me want to learn as many languages as I can, and maybe it is my curiosity for learning about different cultures, or maybe it is about challenging myself in a field that does not come naturally to me. But I think learning languages is far beyond these basic interests or passions. I think it comes down to languages opening a door to interact with people you may not necessarily encounter in your daily life and learning about their diverse lives from a different perspective and a first person account. Personally, while the intellectual challenge is always great, I think there's greater joy in how it pushes me out of my comfort zone and the genuine appreciation I see on the faces of the people whose native tongue I'm trying to navigate, often not in the most successful ways. I think it is this human connection that is the true gift of learning languages. I think people versed in English can consider themselves lucky to be able to read books from different languages as they are often being translated into English. But I have often wondered, how would it feel to read the Guangzhou accent and Hang Hang's human acts in the language it was intended? Or if I would be better able to feel the true depths of Japanese gastronomy if I read the non translated version of Asako Yuzuki's Butter. While the translated version will often capture the essence of the story, each language comes with its own set of nuances, idiomatic expressions, and cultural underpinnings that often get lost in translation. It's not just books, it's also movies and any kind of television shows that you may watch. These nuances can often give us access to new ways of seeing reality through the different societal structures often embedded in the languages. These differences also highlight the way that language shapes thought and builds on that during the language learning process. The nuances of when a particular grammar clause can be used and when it cannot be used can help one appreciate the uniqueness of cultures, including the idiosyncrasies. It often makes us appreciate both the greatness and the limitations of the languages we are already adept at, but don't really analyze as closely. In fact, my favorite thing about learning new languages is coming across words which often do not have an equivalent in English and are often tough to explain unless you have the cultural context for it. Coming to the intellectual aspect of learning languages, I think undertaking such an exercise requires a sense of discipline. I have recently been reading Atomic Habits, where consistency is mentioned as key to developing and sustaining a habit. When it comes to learning languages, I think to truly become fluent, you need to be intelligently consistent. It requires you to not only consume enormous quantities of information on both vocabulary and grammar, but also to implement what you have learned, that is, both input and output are paramount in the language learning process. Both of these study methods have their part to play in the language learning journey, and realistically, you can't have output without input. But as I have learned through practice recently, output far outweighs input when it comes to demonstrable strides in your proficiency levels. As James Clear says in the book, for any desired result, there are two parts to it: motion and action. While motion is great for planning and getting the groundwork done, ultimately it is going to be the action which can help you execute towards the desired result. In the language learning analogy, input is similar to motion while output is akin to action. It is great to learn all the vocabulary and the grammar that you can, but until you are effectively practicing it by being able to use it in sentences, there is little impact of the input. This may be due to the different parts of brain working for input and output, But it also goes back to my earlier point around consistency. The more you use a word or a grammar point, the more naturally it comes to you. Learning a language can be deeply satisfying. It is a puzzle which becomes more intricate with each level of mastery, while at the same time the fruits of such effort get sweeter, which makes the language learning journey somehow easier to undertake. While there are obvious cognitive benefits to learning a language, such as improved memory function, it also fosters a sense of personal achievement and enrichment, especially with the newfound confidence of being able to navigate some conversations in the new language. It also cultivates adaptability, patience, and persistence, which is a lost art in today's age of instant gratification. Language is, of course, not only intended as a tool for communication or self gratification, it also serves as a medium for creativity, as evidenced not just by authors around the world. Learning a new language can open one up to wordplay in new and unique ways. For example, I recently learned that in Korean you have two words for life, one to indicate daily life, which is singwal, and one for the larger sense of life, which is insing. This exposure and the chance to construct a poetic sentence which interplays these two words is not something I see myself honestly doing in English, despite all my dalliances with poetry. The discovery of beautiful words that capture a feeling or experience that can't be translated directly to other languages, such as Komorebi, is the true delight and akin to finding a treasure trove. Language learning also opens up the world of literary works, art forms, and philosophies that are deeply rooted in the specific histories, cultures, and traditions of that region. Each language offers its unique body of literature and art, which can serve as creative hotbeds for artists of different disciplines. The act of interplaying the language in unique and unexpected ways by playing with tones and words can bring about creative ways of expressing thoughts and becoming more attuned to different ways of self expression. A huge reason to learn languages is its ability to foster human connections. In fact, one of the greatest pleasures of learning a language is the ability to deep dive into a culture and its people beyond what is possible through the translated pages of a book. There is something profoundly all encompassing about reading or listening to a work in its original language as the artist had intended, connecting the experience on a deeper and more authentic level with the people, history, and traditions. This connection also occurs in interaction with locals. In my experience, there's a deep appreciation among locals when a traveler interacts with them in their own language. It often helps break down barriers and can be a gateway to experiences and interactions that may not have been on your itinerary. The social nature of language learning also reminds one of the shared humanity that underlines all communication, regardless of linguistic differences, thereby developing a more nuanced understanding of the world and its inhabitants. The joy of learning languages far transcends the confines of the book with its vocabulary and grammar rules. It challenges our minds in different ways and opens up new experiences for us. Through the journey of language learning, we can learn and appreciate about the richness of the human experience and form connections that transcend linguistic and geographical barriers. So, will you be starting your language learning journey today?